Every word we're about to tell you is true. Some of it will be hard to believe, but the truth is often stranger than fiction. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to narrate to you the story of Maykapal, the first known deity of the Tagalog people in Luzon. Are you ready? So here it is. In the beginning, before the first man was created, before the earth, the sun, the stars, even before light and time were created, there was God known as Maykapal. He alone existed before beginning, but was not lonely. Unlike finite man, Maykapal exists simultaneously as omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. He communed with himself in harmonious love, but Maykapal wanted to share his life. He wanted friends and neighbors. The legend tells us Maykapal created numerous kinds of winged creatures like angelic beings to offer praise around his mighty throne. But one called Arde led the third of them in rebellion. Maykapal cast them out of heaven, and Arde's name was changed to Balaa. But this is not their story. This is the story of Maykapal working with mankind, most especially the Tagalog people of Luzon. At first and in the beginning, Maykapal created the heavens and earth, and it came to pass that the earth was formless and void, and Maykapal moved upon the face of waters. Suddenly, God spoke into the darkness, "Let there be light," and light shone up. He saw the light that it was good, and he divided the light from the darkness. He called the light day, and the darkness he called it night. And the following day, Maykapal said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." He made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters, and he called it heaven. And on the following day, he said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And the following day again, Maykapal said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed after this kind, and the tree yielding fruit whose seed was itself after his kind. And he created lights in the firmament of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for reasons, and for days, and for years. He made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Maykapal said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creatures that has life, and fowl may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." He created great whales and every living creature that moves, which the water brought forth abundantly. After their kind, Maykapal blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply on the earth." On his sixth day of creation, Maykapal said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast after the earth, after his kind, and everything that creeps upon the earth, after his kind." It was not as many modern men supposed. Maykapal did not make use of evolution, but all he created amazingly be explained scientifically because of its orderliness and wonders. He created all these things by simply speaking them into existence. On the next 24-hour days, Maykapal made plants and animals to populate the earth. On the last day of creation, with the evil ones watching, Maykapal formed a new creatures from the dust of the ground. He breathed his own life into the body of clay, and the man, the first Tagalog, became a living being. He was made the image of Maykapal, higher than the animals. Maykapal called the new creature man, and gave him the name Malakas. Maykapal looked at all his creation and said, "It is very good." Since then, Maykapal was recognized by the Tagalog people who gives providences, wealth, and good life to every human being and creature in the world, and punishes sins, betrayals, and impurities. Today, Maykapal is still then be acknowledged by all the Filipinos, who is all-eyed God, who watches, guide, and continue to bless all his people until the end of the days.
The development of science resembles a shelter to the world, as individuals come to know a great deal about the world they are living in, including the exercises they enjoy. Besides, the improvement of innovation alongside the progression in science assists with getting an upset in different fields. For example, medication, horticulture, schooling, data and innovation, and some more. The scientific explanation behind the story of how the Earth began. The theory of evolution tells us how life diversified after it got started. But how did the first evolving creatures came about? Darwin's theory of biological evolution helps us understand how simple life forms can give rise to complex life forms. But how did it happen? The origin of life needs its own explanation. Many of us thinking about how the sun was created and how much light it can give to support the living things in order to survive, like plants and flowers. How did moon and stars appear? And where did the clouds, rains, rivers and seas came from? Everything is a big question, but science can explain. Science is an amazing, wonderful undertaking. It teaches us about life, the world, and the universe. Initially, the universe was in darkness. There was neither starlight nor sunlight. Earth was enveloped in a mantle of water, formless and lifeless, until such time where sun, stars and moon, rivers and seas was made. But how? Approximately 4.6 billion years ago, the solar system was a cloud of dust and gas known as a solar nebula. Gravity collapsed the material in on itself as it began to spin and flattened into a disk with our sun forming at its center. The disk's outskirts later accreted into our solar system, including Earth and the other planets. With the rise of the sun, the remaining material began to clump together. Small particles drew together, bound by the force of gravity, into larger particles. The solar wind swept away lighter elements such as hydrogen and helium from the closer regions, leaving only heavy, rocky materials to create terrestrial worlds. But farther away, the solar winds had less impact on lighter elements, allowing them to coalesce into gas giants. In this way, asteroids, comets, planets, and moons were created. Earth's rocky core formed first, with heavy elements colliding and binding together. Dense material sunk to the center, while the lighter material created the crust. The planet's magnetic field probably formed around this time. Gravity captured some of the gases that made up the planet's early atmosphere. The Sun is a yellow dwarf star, a hot ball of glowing gases at the heart of our solar system. Its gravity holds the solar system together, keeping everything from the biggest planets to the smallest particles of debris in its orbit. The connection and interactions between the Sun and Earth drive the seasons, ocean currents, weather, climate, radiation belts, and auroras. Early in its evolution, Earth suffered an impact by a large body that catapulted pieces of the young planet's mantle into space. Gravity caused many of these pieces to draw together and form the Moon, which took up orbit around its creator. The flow of the mantle beneath the crust causes plate tectonics, the movement of the large plates of rock on the surface of the Earth. Collisions and friction gave rise to mountains and volcanoes, which began to spew gases into the atmosphere. And the stars form when a cloud of gas becomes dense enough to collapse in on itself under the influence of its own gravity. This process is affected by the environment surrounding the cloud. Close to a supermassive black hole, the self-gravity of the cloud will be countered by tidal shear, which is the stretching force that results from the intense gravitational pull of the black hole. The scope of science is the world of nature, the reality that is observed directly or indirectly by our senses. Science advances explanations about the natural world, explanations that are accepted or rejected by observation and experiment. Science and religion are two sides of the same deep human impulse to understand the world, to know our place in it, and to marvel at the wonder of life and the infinite cosmos we are surrounded by. Let us keep them that way, and not let one attempt to usurp the rule of the other.